Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot and welcome to our Friday reading. So, getting to that weekend, and boy, has it been an up and down sort of week. So, let's take a look at where the energy has landed, where it seems like it's going across the course of the weekend, and what kind of advice we can get for you as it goes. So, this will be a general reading for this collective, as always. If it resonates with you, think about subscribing, think about maybe joining as a member. And since all of the readings are very much connected, absolutely be sure that you get caught up on the last few readings. I'm going to read for you with the Wandering Star Tarot, and then I've got the Alice in Wonderland Tarot. I've just, since early when I first woke up, I thought of this deck and just wanted to use it. And then we've got the Elemental Oracle that we'll use when it comes time to use an Oracle deck. So we're going to start out by looking at, like I said, the energy of kind of where we are today. It's been a wild week that has started with that almost kind of drunk texting vibe and ended with, or it started along about the middle of it, there was that energy of kind of wanting to poke you a little bit, get your attention. So now we've got Eight of Swords. They're overthinking the poke. They're overthinking the attention that they would like, what it means, what it's for, the truths coming to them. This is someone who, if they do happen to have the conversation with you, you're going to note that there is kind of a more vulnerable, more of an ability to be vulnerable, more of an ability to kind of do what they need to do in this context. Try and get this a little bit better oriented. Looks like my camera moved a little bit. Anyway, so they're trying to work through, I guess, the energy of this past week as well. Nine of Cups. How do I get closer to what I want? This feels like quitting a drug. I mean, honestly, it's like it's like when somebody has the need to walk away from something, like, and they try and do it cold turkey, and there's this desire, this constant desire bringing them back. This is that sort of feeling where they've got a constant desire bringing them back. They're not past it yet. They're wanting to have more of what makes them happy and constitutes the wish fulfillment, but they're not necessarily telling themselves the whole truth. There are some changes that need to happen there, and those changes, I feel like, are maybe some of the toughest parts of the truth for them. With this Eight of Swords, though, it's got them overthinking it, so not exactly knowing how to use the information and thinking about what they either did or wanted to do earlier in the week. So for many of you, it was a matter of kind of some light stalking, some spying, and then they accidentally hit like, or they accidentally hit send, or something that kind of just lets you see that they're there. But like I was saying before, that was only kind of an accident, and now they're thinking about it again, thinking about the implications and whether it was the right thing to do. So you've got a Five of Hedgehogs. There's a lot of like rampant fear of rejection in that. It's like a fear that you're not going to love them anymore, that you're not going to like them anymore. Something as they're just, it's part of the overthinking process. It's part of what they're kind of doing to themselves as they get uncomfortable in this place. So we have a King of Spears, can't get it together. This is the sort of energy where they have things to do, but they just sort of walk around and can't lock onto that flow that enables them to do things. And that's not necessarily this person's common response to a list of things to do. It feels like they usually can kind of jump in and at least start with some of the smaller things, even if they haven't got their head together. This is the sort of not having your head together where you just sort of wander around and don't get all of the things done, which is it's an unusual energy to see coming from them. For me, with the Seven of Flowers here in the reverse, it kind of supplements this. This is a time where they haven't got things figured out and they kind of don't want to be seen. So you may see some of that continuing to hide sort of behavior, a little bit of regret if they did reach out, or or poke you, get your attention. There's a little bit of regret about what you might be thinking about it, whether or not you responded enough for them, whether or not you responded at all. I know a couple of you got some pokes that you just haven't responded to because you kind of know better. But that has, even if it's been something that you were able to work past and think those things through, it still gives you a little bit of that triggering response that we were hearing about in the, I think it was the extended on Wednesday. So 5 of Spears in the reverse, Queen of Spears. No, we don't get the Queen of Spears. I kind of like that energy, but it doesn't have the glow. 5 of Spears in the reverse. This is, they had this kind of fiery sort of needing to be right, needing to finish something so that they could prove something. But it's like they looked it up and it turns out not to be what they thought it was. And so now they kind of want to call attention away from it. That is almost what it reminds me of. There's a very much a sense of having come off of something that they were very much on top of. So now we have a 9 of flowers, defensiveness, and the Emperor, which is, it's an interesting combination between good energy with this Emperor, nice balanced energy, and also being plagued by that need to control that often comes out with the Emperor, and that's going to be that more unbalanced energy. So that's kind of a knee-jerk response to almost everything, because these are the things, this is what has worked for them in the past. But with the 9 of flowers, that defensiveness is really going to kind of show up in everything they do. So it's like a cloud that hangs over them that is going to make it shows up in all their conversations. If this is somebody who works in sales, it's going to show up in every sale they try to make, and that's exactly the sort of place where it would work against you. This is something where they kind of feel like it's hard to be on with this energy. It's hard to have the right kind of focus, and it will demonstrate when they have a conversation with somebody that they maybe don't have the best attitude for the situation. Now let me see what I dropped. Judgment card. They know they don't have the best attitude for it. This is something that kind of tosses them into more of a state of needing to take control of the situation. And I just saw in here, I think it was, yeah, the King of Flowers. That's an honorable mention, and that's about taking control of the situation in a strident sort of way with just this assumption that their resume speaks for them, or that they usually lead stuff, so they should lead this too. Or it's got that kind of, that's where I was going with the strident piece. It's not flat out arrogant, but it kind of feels a little bit like it. King of Teacups says that they're protecting their ego. So we've seen some of that, but this is about making decisions that protect their ego, almost like knee-jerk decisions, though. Again, not necessarily, here's what I hold to be the most important pieces here, as much as here are the pieces that I want the world to see. So this is this comes along with that energy of controlling the narrative and this overthinking that's happening over here. There's going to be a little bit of time that is required for them to process whatever thoughts they had, whatever likes they hit, whatever send button they hit. They've got to process this, so you're going to see them responding to that a little bit. Also taking into consideration what your response is, or what they imagine it would have been. So that's the other tricky bit. Even if they didn't hit send and they're just picturing what your response would have been, that's part of what they're coping with and kind of trying to work through. So this is all about them, this energy that comes up, but it is very helpful in understanding kind of where they are, because they had this energy that was just popping around earlier this week, making decisions that I just have to call questionable. They wanted to be closer to you, but they were doing things that were very impulsive, and now they're looking back on that and saying, I don't know that impulsive was the way to go, and I have some regrets there. Little bit of hiding, but not so much mitigating previous issues, just a matter of sitting there thinking about, well, what am I going to do next? So it's that in-between kind of place. Let's see what else you need to know here, because when we looked into that midweek, what can you expect as far as behaviors, and that's where we went with the extended what kind of behaviors could you expect? And there was kind of that sense of them coming in being vulnerable but controlling. The controlling was kind of already starting, and then returning to a previous lesson, which we know they need to return to some previous lessons, but they're too clenched up to get it this time. Like they're coming back for another pass, and they're not going to get it this time either. But they do it differently this time. They've got a little bit of an awareness of who they want to be. And so there is something there that would suggest that Judgment card, at least even if it's in the reverse, just that awareness, that self-awareness does matter for something. So let's see what you can expect for this weekend, what you need to understand and what you can expect for this weekend. We'll get into the you portion of the reading, get you a little bit of advice over here, but at least over here you can see hesitation. You can see that this is somebody who is unlikely to jump into a place of transformation or new starts, new beginnings at this time because they are disinclined to let go of the old. So we saw that on Wednesday, wanting to hold on to the previous while taking in the new, and those are not necessarily things that can be done at the same time. They are mutually exclusive, and so they've got to let go of one thing to hold on to grab onto something else, and they're not willing to let go of the first thing. We have issue potentially. I've got the danger word coming up, and so I want to be careful when I use that because I don't know what it means yet, but we've got danger, some sort of danger coming up with the third party. And this is part of what's factoring into their overthinking. I think they believe that they've been seen or found out or something that is, I don't know if it's a fear reaction or a danger reaction, that there's something that they haven't yet seen, but there's definitely, we'll continue to look into that, and hopefully more information comes out. Otherwise, it looks like we're doing that in the extended, because I can't say something like that and then not dig into it somewhere. So we've got the Page of Wands in the reverse also. This is kind of a slow moving energy, and even though the curiosity is still there, it's very much covered by, like the Page of Wands is usually my curiosity card, and there is still some of that curiosity. I always kind of test it to see if that's what it feels like, and yes, it's there, but it's overwhelmed by like a tired out sort of feeling. And so this is something that I think both of you are experiencing a little bit, that sense of I've just gotten done running a marathon and now I'm tired. So for you, we know, and I've said this a couple times in the last week, you're kind of being deposited at the foot of a mountain, and being told to climb after just running a marathon, and you're kind of like, wow, that's a lot. I'm not really interested in doing that, but you're going to end up doing it and with gusto. There is more coming that fires you up. This is not yet feeling that fired up sort of energy. Let's see here. A couple of them turned over there. And what was this? Because I feel like that was already turned over and maybe not. I'm pretty sure there was something else in here that was turned over, but I don't feel like it was supposed to be part of the reading. That's really interesting. Let me see if I can pull it out. Yep, here we go. Knight of Hedgehogs. It works, but it's not got the glow. It's not part of what's supposed to be in the reading. Okay, so Four of Spears, a need to heal, time to heal, whether they like it or not. This is going to be a situation where they're being put in a position to find something, to learn something. This is not about you, but it may impact you. I'm wondering how that factors in with the danger with the Three of Cups, the danger with the third party. Here we have a Seven of Spears. Okay, so I'm not sure it's the third party themselves. I think you may have somebody else hanging around, or they may have somebody else hanging around with regard to that third party who is generating distrustful atmosphere or otherwise kind of stirring up nonsense where it does not need to be stirred up. Okay, let's see here. So we've got the Temperance card, which feels more like a bid for temperance, or this is how you get temperance. It feels like there's a need to go through a barrier in order to get to that. With this Knight of Teacups, though, I continue to see quiet. Wait, I don't like the look of any of this. Okay, so with the Three of Teacups, again, I'm not specifically getting danger out of it this time, but I'm getting disillusionment. So we've got danger, disillusionment coming with this third party. And so this is interesting. I know we got to touch on the third party when we get to the live reading at noon. So I'm in the central time zone in the US, which is the same time zone that Chicago is on. And at noon, I'm going to do a live reading for folks who are signed up as members. And if you're signed up as a member, you can always go back and see all of the previous readings and previous bonus material and things like that. We know that we're touching on the third party in that, but I don't know. We may have to look at it even sooner here in the extended. So that way, if you're not going to join as a member, you would still be able to get to that information. And then, I'm probably going to summarize that anyway. But let's see what comes out, because this third party danger, this third party concern, or something is going on here that makes it happen now. The healing is starting to happen now, and there's something disingenuous moving things right now. But I still see them kind of not stepping up to the lessons that they need to learn with this third party, and I think that's going to create a problem. So ultimately they end up in a place of better balance, but I don't feel like they're close to it at this time. That's the thing that concerns me. So I feel like that Temperance card was set there to say it's going to be okay, they're going to end up being fine, but everything else that I see here says that there's going to be a bit of a journey before they can get to that place where they would say that everything is working out and that they're feeling fine about it. This is the sort of energy where something is happening to them instead of something that they are doing. Transformation is upon them. So we saw the Death card over there that says they'll be reluctant to transformation. We saw the Four of Swords over there that talks about healing, and it says, well, they're kind of being forced into this place of healing, being forced into a place of revisiting some lessons that they have previously not fully learned. So this transformation is happening whether they like it or not. And I feel like this situation that was happening across the midweek was a little bit of it was almost like acting out, as they were trying to deny what they could already feel is very much hunting them down, and that's this transformation. So we have the Pair. The Pair is like the Lover's card. It's also about choices, but in this case, I don't feel it being so much about choices. I feel it being more about the bond. The bond between the two of you is part of what is going to be shoring them up across the course of this weekend and possibly into next week. So it feels like you are going to continue to feel this, which tells me there will be an impact on you from whatever's happening here. There's some kind of threat or some kind of danger, but I don't know. I don't feel like it's a threat to their bodily safety or anything like that. I don't get that sense. It's at first when it came out as danger, I was kind of like, we're going to want to get a little bit farther into that, because if we've got danger, like, we need to maybe take action to remove that danger or to make sure that it doesn't happen or something like that. And that's the way I look at these things. So a lot of times this isn't so much, hey, let's tell you your future. It's a matter of let's let you know what direction the energy is going, because then you're going to see people's free will act upon that, and it's going to be part of what influences that free will, and that's also going to be changed by decisions that people make. So if you see something in here that you really don't like the look of, sometimes you've got the option to make some changes so that it doesn't come to pass, so that it isn't your future. 10 of Teacups in the reverse tells us that this is a situation that is going to impact you, but not necessarily one that's going to benefit you to get involved in. And that might sound a little bit wild, but they've got something happening with this third party that has disingenuous behavior going on. And whereas you might be able to help them, you are not encouraged to get involved. This is something where your energy is already involved, possibly even stories about you are in the mix. And so it's not going to help them to get involved. But more than that, this is something that they've got to work through more or less themselves. And I say more or less because that bond with you is still very real and does still provide strength to them, gives them a little of something that they need, but it's also making them kind of go it alone. And with the Hierophant in the reverse, that's exactly the sort of thing that I see happening here. So they feel a little left alone in this transformation. And this is where you might start having them reach out to you in just kind of not wanting to be alone in the transformation. So whereas it's okay to make them feel like they're not alone, it is what these cards are saying. It is not okay to get involved in helping to resolve their issues. Their issues are things that they specifically are going to need to work on. You can provide some ideas, but I would be careful even doing that. I think when we get into the extended, we do need to look a little bit more into what's happening with this third party, what the danger is, what kind of threat we see here, because there's definite threat even with the Seven of With the Seven of Swords, I feel like, or the Seven of Spears, that's a big piece. That air energy with the seven is deception. It is deception, but it's like willing deception. It reminds me of someone who is willing to tell a lie about people who are in the middle of breaking up just to make it more interesting, you know, and it's hurtful to the people who are in the process of having the breakup. It's disingenuous. You know, obviously spouts wrong information, but this person is kind of excited about it. You know, I mean, it's something that makes them, it's fun for them, you know, as much as it isn't fun for the other parties involved. So that's the kind of burr I think they have in their saddle right now. I think that's also impacting the third party, and it's in a hurtful way, even if they're pretending to be on, you know, in somebody's best interest. So we're going to look here to see a little bit more of what's happening there with this threat. I do feel like it isn't the third party specifically, but somebody close to them. So we'll look into that in the extended. Now over here, I would like to do the you portion of the reading, and this may also inform part of what will come out in the extended, because this is going to be your area of focus given everything else that we've got here on the table. I'd also like to see some advice for you. So if we don't see enough of that come through, then we'll dig a little deeper when we get into the extended around advice for you as well. So you've got the Ace of Cups. Be aware that you're going to be dealing with reduced emotion, not just from your person, but also possibly from yourself. And the Devil in the reverse. So you're going to have more freedom, but not necessarily be 100% certain about how you need to be using that freedom. Because, you know, sometimes having more freedom is beneficial, and other times it's, you know, you're being given enough rope to hang yourself. So you got to be careful that when you receive freedom, when you get a little bit something that has been exerting control is no longer exerting control, that you take that that you take it and use it wisely. And that's kind of the advice that comes with that. So this is very much personal and not about your person. It's in general. You'll be receiving additional freedom, or you'll be experiencing additional freedom, and so you want to be able to use that energy wisely. And we've got an Eight of Wands. Feels like things kind of start to change for you relatively quickly. A little bit of this Ace of Cups energy, I mean, comes in and feels like you're having to kind of roll a boulder uphill a little bit, trying to access your own emotions, but you are very good at that. So it's not something that continues to be a challenge for you, but it may be a little bit surprising when it's a challenge for you initially. It's just not something that you usually have issues with. Okay, we've got a Four of Cups, and what else fell here? Okay, so with the Four of Cups, okay, the Four of Cups is about disappointment, but it is specifically disappointment in yourself and how you have handled a situation, or maybe not been able to let go of a situation. So a lot of times we get that with the Four of Earth, that earth energy, which in this case would be hedgehogs. We haven't seen much earth energy in through here. This has been a little bit more in that air energy, a little bit of fire, some emotions with the teacups. This is being disappointed, but also feeling like you just are having a hard time letting something go. And it's frustrating because you know what you want to do. You know what's going to be beneficial for you, but you're having a hard time making it happen. Here we go with some hedgehogs. So this is, oh, hold up. We need this as well. So we have the Page of Hedgehogs, which is going to be about learning a lesson. We have the Temptation card in the reverse, which is going to be about you really, this is maybe the most exciting energy I've seen so far. And then we've got this Tower. These all come out together. So let's talk about that. Page of Hedgehogs is a lesson, but it's like the most painless lesson that you ever get to learn. You get to see the triggering from afar, but not really have to experience it. The Temptation piece is you are almost getting like a get out of jail free card. If you ever played Monopoly, there's this get out of jail free card. And if you're holding it and you get put in jail, you can just jump right out and it's no big deal. With the Temptation card here, this is something that you've been trying to get on top of for a long time, and now you have like an easy button. for getting on top of it. For my person who was looking to quit smoking, and when I talked about you earlier in the year, I know you're still here because we're still talking, but if you are wanting to quit smoking, this is the time. This is the time to quit something that is basically fits under that temptation, or something that's like an addiction, or something that's very difficult to walk away from, because you've got change coming. We saw it coming for 2025, but you've got change that is starting to really emerge for you, that is going to make it much easier for you to avoid this temptation, whether it's losing weight, not doing cigarettes or some sort of substance anymore. Whatever that means for you, this is going to be the easiest time to walk away from it that I've seen in a while. I can't promise that it will be harder in the future, but I can definitely tell you it has not been like this. So I also won't say it'll be easy. It just feels like it's going to be completely imminently doable. And I like the way that looks. Two of Teacups says that this is a single journey, so that even if you are walking with someone, you're doing this one by yourself. So even if you are managing to come into union with this person, or if you are walking beside your friends, your family, someone else, you are doing this alone. So this is development that occurs alone. One of Spears says that there is... it's kind of like with this Ace of Swords over here. It's the same energy, but this is something where you're maybe not taking those considerations, or not doing all the things that are necessary to move yourself to that next step. I feel like a big thing happens, a big ka-chunk kind of moves you to a next step, and all of a sudden these One of Spears pieces get exposed. It kind of turns everything upside down. And so if you've got pieces that you were trying to avoid looking into yourself, this is going to be the time where you're better able to look into yourself. Oh, let's see what I dropped down there. So first we've got a Seven of Hedgehogs, investment in the self. You're getting the recommendation to invest in the self, and this is absolutely the time to do it. And then let's see what I dropped. I dropped a little stack of them, but they're all face down. Ooh. Okay, we have an Eight of Spears in the reverse. This is, you're getting the same advice that you got, I think it was Wednesday, at some point, not to overthink it. Don't overthink it. There's no reason to do that. It's not going to be beneficial. I don't even know what it is, but I suspect it's going to be relevant to some of the other pieces that you're seeing in here, and it's going to feel relevant to some of the other pieces that are happening over here, because the energy, your person's energy, is practically on top of you, and there's this intermingling of the energies at this point. And so I feel like with you not overthinking it, and with them overthinking fairly heavily, these are going to be kind of clashing sort of energies. I still feel like we didn't get a ton of advice about how to handle the situation with your person, because right now you are facing something that is very personal, and this is a great time to be facing it. It's the right kind of energy for it. But let's take some time in the extended to look at what this threat is that feels like it may be coming from, or that is coming from this situation. What is this danger? What is this threat? And then we're also going to look at advice for you specifically as it relates to that threat. So this is great information, but it's going to be a slightly different question to really bring out what do you do with this situation. So that's where we're going to go. Then when we go to the live reading later on this afternoon, that is members. So if you want to join as a member, there is still time, and there's even still time to submit a question. So the way that we do it, you can submit questions via chat during the session, or you can submit questions ahead of time, and especially if you think it's something that people will benefit from hearing. So we do individual questions at the end, but you're definitely allowed to bring questions that the overall group would be interested in hearing. And it would be ideal to bring those ahead of time if you can, because that way I can really kind of work it into the reading that I'm going to build before we go to the individual questions. So I do that sort of thing pretty much on the fly. So if you still want to join and get in and ask a question or two, there is still time. But that's going to happen a little bit later on, like I was saying, at noon Central Time. And if you can't make it, then you can always come back and watch it. Even if you submitted a question, you can still, I'll still go ahead and answer it whether you're on or not. So anyway, I'm going to go to the extended. We're going to take a look at this third-party danger or threat and how you need to be reacting to that. Then later on, I'll go to the live. So I hope to see you in one or both places. And if not, then I'll see you again in tomorrow's reading.